So it's an oft-repeated fact that the U.S. has a shortage of engineers, right? Everyone talks about it. People say if that's allowed to continue, it's going to hurt our position in the world. All these other countries have either caught up to us or are surpassing us. But on the other hand, in 2013, the U.S. lost 35,000 electrical engineering jobs alone, which is equal to 10.4% of the total electrical engineering jobs in the U.S. So the question is, do we have an engineering shortage or not? And what's the solution?
My answer would be that when you start off by saying that it's a fact, it's not a fact.
Okay.
I think that you'll have people, and there have been studies done too, that show or that claim that there is no shortage at all. And that what companies want to do is kind of bring over foreign workers, basically, give them the H-1B1 visas, so that because they're cheaper, they don't have to pay them as much, and they're not likely to sue or anything like that because they're,
they tailor the job so specifically. There's a quote I read that said, that these companies are looking for a 5-pound butterfly. Well, the fact that they don't find one doesn't mean there's a shortage of butterflies. Just that they've written their language of the what they require so specifically that only that one person's going to make it in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Well, there's a lot of countries globally that are actually putting these kind of immigration policies in effect now. There's countries like Germany and the UK that their engineering shortage is so critical and it is so severe that they are. I think Germany last year lost out on $8 billion because there was 92,000 engineering jobs not filled in Germany. Wow. Germany, which is known globally as being, has always been, sort of the center of engineering expertise. So I think it's more of a global problem. But Obama, in one of his national addresses, actually is calling for, through the STEM program, to encourage more engineers. That his goal is to graduate 10,000 more engineers a year, which is 14% more than what we're currently producing. So maybe it's, the generation right now of engineers in the U.S. is okay, but obviously the population's coming up. Maybe there's not as many graduates being, coming out of schools now. I know the retention rate in engineering schools is only 56%. So, maybe this is a problem that we're going to encounter in the next 5 or 10 years in the U.S., but globally it is an issue now.
But what about the foreign students who come over to the U.S., get their engineering degree, and then they can't stay? And, some of them want to go back to their home country, but some of them want to stay here. I read a statistic the other day that, and this was within the last week or so, the U.S. burned through all of the high-skilled work visas for 2015 in less than a week. It's crazy. In 2013, 124,000 people applied for those 85,000 slots in the first 5-day period. I mean, again, does that go back to your argument, Miles, or is it that we don't have enough latitude in those high-skilled visas that to allow the right people to come over from
I'm thinking countries? It might be the latitude, but also too, like what skills companies are actually looking for. I mean, that might be part of it too, because if they're looking for the newest and latest skills, they're not going to find it probably in someone who's been in the field for 30 or 40 years. You're going to find it some 25-year-old fresh out of college who learns, who knows all the latest programming languages.
It's going back to the education, but that's also a specific thought perception that the youngest kids are going to have the freshest knowledge. That may or may not be right. Some of the older engineers still keep up with what's going on. Plus, they've got their experience to know what will work, what won't work. So I'm not so sure that this idea that the younger is going to be better is a good thing to
And those older engineers cost more too.
Well, there is that.
Yeah, but a lot of the older engineers are heading
for.
Yeah, true. But a lot of the older engineers are heading out the door. They're eyeing retirement. Yeah. So a lot of companies are establishing mentoring programs where you can kind of marry the skill set that these older engineers have developed day to day in the job with these young kids who are coming out in design-wise, the software, they all come out knowing 3D, which there are older engineers who still haven't learned 3D yet. So I mean, I think there's
that's a more serious problem. I agree with you. It's the experienced worker who's retiring, and now how do you replace that body of knowledge?
Yeah, but that goes to the shortage. I mean, that will be part of the shortage, is that all these experienced engineers are going to be walking out the door with all this experience. Are there enough engineers to replace those?
Mary, how does STEM fit into all this? I mean, there's obviously a huge push lately to getting kids interested in STEM type careers. I know you've done a lot of writing about that.
I think a lot of it has to do with perception. And what I'm finding from a lot of manufacturers that I've been talking to recently, it's not so much engineers that they're concerned about. They're also concerned about finding skilled workers that can operate these high-tech machines. There's a perception that engineering jobs and factory jobs are not glamorous, they're boring, you're either sitting at a desk or in a dirty, dark environment all the time, and it's not like that anymore. So I think a lot of it has to do with these STEM programs, bringing students in, getting them excited about science and engineering and math, but then also letting them see what the day-to-day job would be, and also, what these factories look like today. You could be an engineer, you're out on these plants, I mean, they're amazing. They're bright lit, they're clean, they're organized, and they're using these high-tech machines that they didn't have 10 or 20 years ago. And I think that's a lot of it.
Grandfather's factory, basically.
Absolutely.
The old, hot in the summer, kind of dirty, oily kind of place that's,
from the 1920s, you see in the history books,
Exactly.
So it goes back to the companies basically trying to educate the kids, and STEM is crucial in that. I mean, and the more companies that get involved in it are absolutely necessary. And I think women in STEM is one of the big things. I've talked to a lot of companies, and that's kind of where they're putting all their focus is girls in STEM in the middle school and high school grades. And I don't have any stats on women engineers per se, but I'm sure that it's still much lower than it has been and always will be.
It's still a huge separation. Yeah.
I can tell you from my classes that I teach, it's 95% male, and there's maybe 2 or 3 women. So
with some of the new tools, some of the new directions that we are going into, it kind of speaks to some of the skill sets that women inherently have, some of the more creative things that are going on, and that may be a direction that we're moving into as far as the educational system.
Even on the factory floor, we were just at Clippard in the Cincinnati area, and you go in almost any small to mid-sized manufacturing facility, and almost all of the fine work is being done by women. They have so much better dexterity and
fine motor skills.
Not even the motor skills, but more the creativity, more the way they think, the way they approach a problem and how they solve it. Those are some things that might be coming into play. It's more a creative, artistic expression as well as a technical, electromechanical expression.
Right. Well, and engineering in general has changed. It used to be a good engineer, you had to be a good draftsman, right? It was very, and now the way the tools have evolved, there is more innovation, there is more creativity because the tools enable it. You don't have to spend as much time, right, with the precision of drawings, because the tools allow you to be more flexible.
Software will do a lot of that for
and
you.
it's funny that you use the word draftsmen.
Oh, my bad. Or draftswomen.
They predominantly were back then.
Yes.
Well, they were, right? A white tie, shirt, white shirt, black tie wearing, crew cut,
Great. Well, it's certainly a complicated issue. We haven't gotten all the answers here today, but hopefully you'll weigh in below with your comments. And also make sure to visit all of our videos online at www.designworldonline.com. Thanks for joining us.